I'm Carmen, the founder of Crew, and I'm building a new way for founders to network in Dubai that's more intentional. Let's do away with the awkward intros and feel like you're part of something with other founders. In this episode, I introduce you to the founder, Raluca. She's the founder of Loupe Style Coaching. She's not here to style your outfit. She's here to rewire the way that people see you. She calls herself an image scientist, and she helps leaders walk into the room and own them. She works on their image and their behavior to help them achieve their goals without even saying a word. So of course, I had to start with the obvious question. What exactly is an image scientist, and how is it not just a fancy way of saying I'm a stylist?
I guess I would start with the difference between a stylist and what I do. A stylist basically upgrades your look. What I do is that I upgrade the signals in your look. I work with visual cues and nonverbal communication signals that your outfit, your demeanor, your body language, posture, your facial expressions can signal and should signal in the right way. So we basically don't realize body language is something that we don't control. We can control the visual image, like the external appearance, like what we wear and the accessories and, the posture. But body language is something that's more linked to emotions. And people believe first what they see rather than what you say.
Right. Especially in Dubai, right?
I think everywhere it's like how our brain is wired. I mean, most literature is 7 seconds, but most impressions are made in a tenth of a second, studies show. So in this blink of an eye, we actually assess your confidence, your competence, how much we should trust you. So it's important that you present yourself in the way you want people to read you. So yes, I do work with what you wear, like a stylist do, and styling is coming later in my process. I would say most stylists, they focus on the physical features. You have this body type, you have this color palette, you have this style personality, this is what suits you. How do you feel wearing this? What I do, I guide these clothing choices based on the visual cues and nonverbal communication that serves your goals. Like you want to look a certain way. Once you learn how to align both your verbal message with what you wear and how you behave, then you create more credibility, right, in your image.
There's so much more to it than just the appearance.
Yeah. There's so much power in our external image. And I'm actually on a mission to let as many people know that dressing up every day is something they should use more than just putting on some clothes on you and going out the door. Put more thought and be clearer and more intentional before you go out the door, right?
Right, because it's a tool in our toolkit, right? To achieve what we need to achieve.
Yeah, totally.
That's really interesting. So let's just say that somebody says to you, I want to appear more polished and professional. Where do you start?
I want to appear more polished and professional. More often is a code for I want to be read, like organized, composed, in control, confident. So I start with defining what polished and professional means to you. And I usually use 3 words. I ask you to give me like 3 words, 3 adjectives that would describe how would you feel and what people would say and think about you when they see you. So it's going to be something along the lines of I want to look sharp and put together, maybe modern and confident, let's say. Then we list all the visual cues and other nonverbal signals that say these words about you. Like, for example, to look polished and professional, the visual cues around your outfit, for example, are, clean lines, aligned hems with the edge of your shoulders, structured fabrics rather than flowy and drapey because they make you look softer and friendlier and you want to look put together and confident. In terms of colors, that's another example. You can use like more neutrals or darker colors, because in the psychology of colors, darker colors send signals of more authority and confidence versus lighter colors like pastels and white that would make you look softer, also fresher, but in a more approachable way. And then related to body language, of course, we work on your posture, your facial expressions, everything that cues people into reading you polished and professional.
Where do people struggle the most with everything that you're doing with them? Because I can imagine changing my facial expressions would be quite challenging. It's like who I am, and I can't imagine if I'm overthinking things, it could be really difficult. So is that where do people struggle the most with what you do?
So I think it's the body language and expressions, but it's the body language and the micro expressions, facial expressions, because these are more linked to emotions rather than you being able to control them. It's like even now when I'm talking, I'm moving my eyes left and right because, I'm trying to remember things or create a visual image in my head to explain what I'm saying. So I'm aware of me doing that, but it's not actually something that I can control. Research actually says that you cannot control your body language more than 2 minutes, right? You are aware of it,
Right.
but then it's natural that you go into your authentic, natural
Way of being,
behaving
right? Yeah.
and being.
Right.
So I think that's where people struggle most. But just knowing simple tricks, like for example, if you want to be seen more open and friendly and trustworthy, show the palm of your hands. It's like when you go somewhere, say, hi, I'm Raluca, how's everybody doing?
Right.
How are you doing? And so on. And it's because, like in the ancient times, people seeing your hands would see you're not carrying any weapon. So you're not a danger, you're a friend, right? So this is still true today. When you show your hands, especially the palm of your hands, it means you are there to connect and,
I love that.
be a friend.
And it's something we just don't think about. It's just so inherent in our day-to-day behavior.
Yeah, but you
it means
see,
so much.
you just did it.
Yeah.
So good for you. It's a natural
I think
gesture
people
for you.
generally say I'm very friendly.
But it's also like be mindful when you do a handshake, Even there are lots of kinds of handshakes, like the dominant handshake with your palm down, So naturally you put pressure on the other hand and it makes the other person feel you more authoritative. Equality shaking when you're just, hand is in the upright position and you're showing a bit of your palm. So it's showing we're on the same level. So all these examples are simple, not even tricks. They are like simple tools or mini tools that we can learn and use every day. And they don't only influence how we feel, but they also influence how people perceive us, right?
Right.
And we can be more intentional about our image with these learnings.
Absolutely. Getting back to clothing and fashion, what's a piece of clothing you wish more people would just retire because it's sabotaging themselves without even realizing it?
First, I have to say, and I say this to my clients as well, I don't do rules and mistakes in how we present ourselves. My role and my goal is to tell people or to flag to people when they don't wear the right message. So I don't think something is right or wrong. But if I am to be specific, I would say first retire everything that you don't even like. Because once you are wearing something, and I'm talking clothing now, right? If you wear something that you don't like or don't love, that would translate into a poorer posture or not into the message that you want to send. Then retire anything that don't fits, everything that makes you pull and put back together every other minute, because this shows insecurity to people and makes you look less confident. And specifically, just came to my mind now one example. Everything that's ill-fitting, especially the oversized everything.
Well, that was quite a trend for a while though,
Yeah,
right?
mainly when you wear together an oversized top and an oversized bottom, because it drowns you. It's like you're trying to cover something.
Right.
You're hiding, you're trying to hide. I mean, that's fine if that's the message you want to send and you're aware of it. But also you need to know that people would read you like that. This is like the neurological side of it, you know? So when you look flimsy and you're having this oversized everything, you send potentially cues that you don't intend to.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, you have to be a lot more mindful of what we're wearing, how we're presenting ourselves. Now, let's just say somebody walks into this room right now and you don't know them. What's the first visual cue? I'm scared to ask you this question because I'm also scared of what you're scanning for me, but what are you scanning that tells you whether their image is intentional?
So psychology says that when we see someone or when we meet someone new, we first look at their face, right? And especially eyes. We look at this triangle, eyes, nose, and mouth. So if you know that, and I would see everything that frames your face, right? Because we first look at people's face. Nicely groomed hair, nice makeup if you're a woman, a sharp collar, an iron shirt if you're a man or a woman, right? Structured jacket or blazer, and I see quality around your face. This gives me a clue and a cue that you wanted to make that intentional. Another thing that people look at once, so they start loading and scanning, right? It's hands. If you're like wearing a polished suit, but your hands are fidgeting and you clutch your bag and your hands are agitated, they don't look, it looks mismatched. It's like they don't align with the rest of the image.
Right.
So that gives me another sense of you don't feel comfortable, so something was not intentional. It's like you had to do something, but you don't feel comfortable.
You don't feel like yourself. Or,
Yeah, true.
Interesting. That's fascinating. I could talk to you all day about this. So if you were dropped into the head office of Zara tomorrow, what's one change that you would make immediately to help people shop smarter?
I love these questions. I mean, I love all your questions, but this question actually is close to my heart, not because of the brand itself, but because obviously due to my job, I visit a lot of stores, including Zara. So I like the brand. I like they are always innovative and they have thousands of items like every month, probably new ones. But on the downside, this make people hard to choose and not knowing what to wear with what and when and so on. And also giving what I do, if I was dropped in Zara HQ, I would recommend them to add a tag for each item with a QR code that you can scan and see 3 ways to wear this blazer.
I love that.
You know, for example, this blazer screams authority. Wear it for an interview or a presentation. You know, like give more to people so you help them with their choices. And I think because it's also interactive, it's helping me with a decision. I can wear it more than one way, sustainability, everything else. It would help people make better choices. And if Zara's hearing,
They're listening.
If they're listening, I'm already unofficially helping their clients in the fitting rooms.
Right.
I used to go and try on stuff or feel the texture or how clothes sit on the body, my body or my client's body. And when I'm there, if I see someone coming out of the fitting room in something that I don't believe is creating unity with the rest of their image, then I actually go and introduce myself and ask them if they are willing to listen to my opinion.
Oh.
Some people do, some people are, it may sound a bit awkward, right?
I would love that. I think a lot of people would love it.
Yeah, I did it with women and men, actually. Mm-hmm. I'm not popping into the men's fitting room, obviously, but I was waiting for my partner to come out.
Right.
And I gave some advice to a couple. They were choosing something for him.
Okay.
And I love that. I think not only for Zara, but for any brands, it's good to help us rather than wandering in your store and not knowing what to choose, with a bit of a guidance that's falling into my psychology side of
Absolutely.
of the image and what I do, but also at least some styling advice, right?
Yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer that these big brands should. I mean, as a consumer, we're looking for help constantly with these
Yeah.
decisions. I would certainly buy a lot more in a store if they offered such a service. So you said that most people don't even know how they want to be perceived. Why is that so common? And what's the first thing you look for to help them figure that out?
I guess we were not taught to take a pause and just assess how we come across. We just, every morning and every evening, if we are good planners and we plan what to wear the next day, the night before, we just open the wardrobe and mostly thinking, what am I going to wear tomorrow, right? Depending on the context we're having the next day or that morning, right? So I would tell people, rather than asking these questions, what in the world I'm going to wear today, to ask themselves, how do I want to feel today? How do I want to be seen today? What I want people to say or think about me when they see me, right? And I can guide them with the colors, with the silhouette, with the grooming, with the body language, with everything we just talked about. I actually have a framework that I call role, goal, context.
Okay.
Knowing who you are, what your job is, assessing what are you trying to achieve, what you want people to see about you, right? The goal. And then the context, the situation you're put in. So I take you through this simple set of questions, and then I would say half of my clients so far, they know for sure how they don't want to be seen, which is also a cue for me. But then once you define and know these words, you actually trick your brain into achieving that, right? Once you put a name to everything, an emotion, an aspiration, and so on, you're like one step ahead in actually doing it, right?
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you
I
so
could
much.
speak to you for hours about this,
Thank you.
especially around the cues of hands. That was really fascinating. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.